Good morning, everyone. This is Rabbi Moshe Otero. Just want to comment on something I was reading this morning as I'm taking for a walk my dog. You know, you begin to realize how things are so squirmy, so wrong valued. This morning I was reading that they were going to present an exhibit at the Holocaust Museum of a gentleman that basically they made a saint into almost. And of course that is regarding George Floyd. Well, they're now going to put him into an exhibit in the Holocaust Museum, which to me is really a mockery. It's really de-evaluating the memories of those who died in the Holocaust and the process of them being a victim of the hands of haters. You can't compare at all the victims of the Holocaust, those who died at the hands of a government, of a country who hated Jews to this day, and that with George Floyd and his death. It is like comparing a saint with a demon. As far as I'm concerned, the Holocaust Museum is catering to the whims of social norms that is completely distorted of true value. And no one has had the guts to say it. But I'm saying it here because it's wrong, it's immoral to put such an exhibit in the Holocaust Museum when in fact these who died in the Holocaust were victims of a very atrocious and terrible government. By them placing George Floyd in that exhibit, they're equating that the same happened to George Floyd. No, my friends, George Floyd was a victim of his own actions. He was convicted multiple times of different felonies. Even at the point when he was resisting arrest, as we've all seen in camera, he resisted and desisted. And what resulted from the issue of George Floyd is something very akin to what happened many years before with another gentleman that was fleeing the law and resisting arrest. We all remember that one in Los Angeles. And the same message goes back and is repeated. These are not individuals that are looking to do what is right before God and man. These are individuals that basically were caught in the process of committing a criminal act. And as a result, they died as a fact of their criminal action. No, George Floyd is not a saint. No, he's not a victim of the Holocaust. Nor can we equate him in anything comparable to those who died at the Holocaust. It's despicable. It should be condemned, those who allowed having such an exhibit in the Holocaust Museum in Maitland, Florida. But because our society is so not morally correct, it's completely incorrect morally, it justifies illegal and criminal actions and exalts its victims as they were saints. And this is what we have come up to this day. No, George wasn't a saint. No, George is not a victim. George is a perpetrator of his own derision and criminal element. And no one has called that as it is. He died because he was in the process of resisting arrest. He popped in his mouth drugs that causes asphyxiation. And that we all seen it. We saw it live in camera. And then later, in an attempt to subject the arrest, they put their knee on his back. That didn't kill him. He was already asphyxiating because of the drugs he popped into his mouth. And by no means is this man a victim. Again, he was a perpetrator. He was taking on illegal cash. He shouldn't have died, but had he not popped that drug into his mouth, he wouldn't have died. Because I've been kneed before. I've been brought into subjection under police authority. And you know what? You don't resist arrest. If anything we need to learn is that we don't resist arrest unless you want the power of the law enforcer on top of you. Unfortunately, our society thinks that they don't have to listen to authority. And you know what? The whole entire chandra that we're living in today, of the fraudulent vote, of the stealings of the American vote, which is a bigger crime than we can ever imagine, that everyone says, well, let's come on, we gotta recognize he won fair and square. No, he didn't win fair and square. No, it's not always a fair and square situation. If this country is to somehow survive, obviously it has to keep on going in the same fraudulent machinery, which should not let stand. We need to have this investigated all the way up, and it will be. Whether Trump is president or not, this country is cut asunder, and it's so divided. It can't be healed. I'm going to say this again. It can't be healed. Not under the premise of thievery and debauchery and all types of criminal elements that we've seen pop up under the Democratic flag, under the Democrats in particular. My friends, if anything, this country is more divided than ever before, and its wound is deep and profound. No one will stand for criminals and criminal elements to be raised to the level of saintlyhood. I'm sorry, George, but you're no saint. And you died because you popped something in your mouth, and you died because you resisted arrest. And every single person that basically resists arrest and basically loses his life as a result is not a martyr. He is a perpetrator of a crime that was stopped, cut short, his life cut short as a result of his crime, of his penalty of being a criminal element. Don't make no distinction. George Floyd is not to be compared to a Holocaust victim, one iota. And Maitland, Florida, Holocaust Museum in Maitland, Florida, you should be ashamed of yourself for making that type of exhibit within the idea of the Holocaust. It is a complete shame. You should be ashamed of yourself just because you want to acquiesce to the sentiments of the victimization of a person who basically died as a result of drug endorsement, drug-induced pills. We saw it. We saw it right there in his tongue. We all saw it as the officers came close and he popped the pill and it was right there. That's what killed him. It wasn't no police kneeing. And you know what? I'm against discrimination. No matter what color you are, there should be no discrimination or racial profiling. But this man did not die because of that. And as a result of that, this man who died, he died for his own criminal actions, caused the inflaming up of so much hatred, of so much violence, that we saw buildings burn, even black business burn, and Black Lives Matter come up and pop up as an agency of evil. Yes, my son, an agency of evil. I am not going to stand here and applaud all of this to take place in the name of Holocaust victimization, because he's not a Holocaust member. He wasn't a victim of the Holocaust. It was a unique situation in history that took place, and by putting an exhibit in a place where the Holocaust is to be memorialized, it devaluates the experience that we Jews went through during Germany and during the Holocaust and every anti-Semitic attack. I'm sorry. Take that exhibit out and take it out into a more public arena. And if you think he was like a victim of the Holocaust, you're wrong. You're devaluating those who died at the hands of evil instead of dying at the hands of those that were carrying justice. A big difference. Big difference. So shame on you, Holocaust, Maitland, Florida. Shame, shame, shame.